Good morning. Could you tell us a few things about yourself?
Sure, yes. My name is Angelika Zarkali. I'm a neurologist. I'm originally from Greece, but I've been working in the UK since 2012. And I'm an academic clinical lecturer, so that means that I spend 40% of my time in the university doing some research into Parkinson's disease, dementia, and the 60% of my time I spend in the hospital seeing patients in clinic.
Okay, that's great. Could you answer, please, a few of our questions that we have here? The first one is, research shows that women are underrepresented in the STEM field. Do you think that is because of society? Could it be because of biological factors, or do you think it is because of something else?
Sure. That's a really interesting question. I don't think we can, definitely know for sure. My personal opinion is that we shouldn't necessarily attribute it to biological factors. There's been a lot of research that shows, in very young children, that actually women, there are some sex-induced differences. So, like, women do tend to be a bit better as babies or toddlers in like communication skills and complex understanding and problem solving, and they're a little bit worse in navigation skills compared to like little boys. But that does wear off with age, and also there's a very strong educational effect. So I think, particularly in early education, I've seen this now with my son who's like 2 years old. So there's a big emphasis on like boys being allowed to like explore and do more scientific things, and play with toys that are um, in a way more educational, whilst little girls are like, I think, are encouraged more to be more caring and assume a more kind of maternal role and play with dolls and things like that. So I think it may seem like a very small difference when you're 2 or 3, and actually it is, but then that does accumulate with age, and I think that does play a role in what also society considers, you know, a proper work environment for a woman versus a man. I think men have much more freedom from their families to do things that are potentially more time consuming or more demanding on their lives, personal lives.
Okay, thank you very much. Did your family support and encourage your decision to pursue science?
Yeah, so definitely. So I think I was very lucky. So when I was growing up, my both my parents are in education, so they're like high school teachers, and both are in the science, kind of have a science background. So they were definitely very encouraging, and I would say that my second choice of career was mathematics, and they were more keen for me to go into medicine than they were for me to go into like theoretical maths, which was my other choice. Um, which is interesting to think about in retrospect, but I think that was most reflecting of their personal views of what is a secure financial like
Mhm.
job rather than not wanting to do science. But yeah, they were very supportive overall.
Okay, that's great. Did you face any prejudice, sexism, stereotypes?
Eh, whilst I was growing up, so in school, yes, there were. I was really into maths, and I was like taking. You probably know about the mathematical competitions that they do every year in Greece. So I was going into that, and then um, also took like I was just about to go to the Olympiad, but I was growing up in a very small place in Greece, so like not in a big city. So
Mhm.
my maths and science teachers were quite yeah, I have heard things like, you're a girl and this is not like this is not like an area where girls usually are and things like that. In medical school, I didn't experience that. There was a lot of, it's one of the scientific sectors, I think, medicine, where there's a lot of women there. So like I think in medical school, over 60% and more are female. So I didn't experience anything like that. And I think throughout my career, I have been very lucky. Um, at least in the UK, I haven't experienced any sexism, um, other than during maternity leave, where it was actually very challenging, because it was during the pandemic and the hostel was very stressed, and the I mean, there was a gross lack of support and understanding of, from the department and the institution around me, that I am pregnant and it's a difficult time, and the hospital, for example, would not allow us to do certain aspects of our job because of the risk to the feet, to the baby. But the consultants that I was working with didn't really want to follow the hospital protocol, and they were very keen for me to go against the advice from occupational health and just work. But which I think they wouldn't have done if it was obviously maternity is women specific, but yeah, so I don't think that they would have done the same if, say, another colleague had a personal disability, or they were high risk for COVID for reasons other than pregnancy, so they had severe asthma or something, or they were immunosuppressed. I don't think they would have faced the same difficulties.
I see. Have you ever considered changing careers because of attitudes or comments you have encountered?
No, not really. I think I do love my work. I love academic work as well and research. I think there's in academia and more so as a field of within science fields, you have to be very resilient. There's a lot of rejection irrespective of gender, and there's a lot of sexism and racism, and as with any other job environment. So no, I think I just have kind of thought I would persevere and kind of just stick with it, but we'll see what happens, I guess.
Okay, how do you balance your work with your family?
Yeah, it's really difficult actually. It's very difficult. So I think it's more difficult for me because I essentially have two jobs. So the hospital side and the university side don't really understand that I have another job. So I do work full time. So it's very, very difficult to manage. I think and it's also very difficult because we also don't have any family here. So to support us with childcare and things. So we live all our family are back in Greece. So I think you just have to be very, very good with time management. So if I have my everything on my calendar, and that it's all annotated and accounted for. And since having a baby, I've just been very much more strict with my time. So because you have hard deadlines. So 5 o'clock you have to go and pick up. I have to go and pick up my son from the nursery. That's not debatable. And before I would stay late some days and do some extra work. Now I can't do that, and you have to kind of adjust to it. I have been very lucky, and I have colleagues who are very understanding and supportive, particularly in the university, so they kind of help juggle that. And my husband is very, very, very supportive, and he works in a job that is a bit more flexible, so that does help. But it's not easy.
Okay, I see. Do you ever feel guilty or feel like you are neglecting your kids?
Yeah, I mean, yes, a little bit. Particularly, yeah, I mean, he's very young now, so when I do have on calls and I have to work in the hostel overnight, and he doesn't see me for a few days, then I come back, and then he's very he wants to hug and cuddle, and he's a bit upset, and I know that he missed me, and it is a bit it's not pleasant, but I just have to think that he will be okay at the end. But yeah, I do feel guilty. I think every parent would, though. I think that's probably the same for men and women.
Okay, do you think your spouse tolerates your career being seen by society as, let's say, superior to his?
Yeah, that is interesting. I did actually think about checking with him as well, but so he's also into science, into scientific sector, but in industry. I think it is difficult. He's definitely. I don't know if he's the norm. He's very open-minded and he's very supportive of me in general. I think he does struggle sometimes because he's not into medicine to understand the pressures that come with that. Because for us, for example, if I'm on call and a colleague turns up late, I cannot physically leave the hospital. Like, there's no one else. So a lot of times, even my non-medical friends, men and women, they don't understand that kind of pressure. And they think that, you finish your work, it's been 2 hours extra, you can just leave, like, but I can't do that. So I think that's the most difficult challenge for us, rather than I think he definitely understands the the drive to, now that I have deadlines for grants for the university, for example, he kind of takes a bit more of the childcare and helps me kind of manage my time and achieve what I need to achieve. But yeah, the hard deadlines and the pressure that comes with being kind of in a responsible clinical setting, I don't think he gets. I don't know whether my career is perceived as more important than society than his. I think that would be something that a lot of couples would struggle, but for us, it's not. I mean, I do make a bit more. I'm paid a bit more, and he's kind of very happy with that. So, I mean, we're a good team, I think. So, but I do think that would vary, and in general, we do have a lot of friends that do struggle with that kind of power balance between kind of men and women. But I think it also depends on the way that men are grown up, right, and the culture that they have from their families. And yeah, I don't know, it's very individual, but I didn't have any issues with him.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries. I hope that was kind of semi useful.
It was.